think you guys just ignore me on the dark web now.
We don't.
I'm like, Jefferson, Depressed North End. Greg's like, half an hour later, hey, do you guys see? Jefferson, Depressed North End.
No, it's we were doing things all morning. Welcome to Footy Prime. As you know, this is our soccer and football therapy.
World Cup on Footy Prime. Everybody, join the club. It's the Club World Cup on Footy Prime. Everybody, join the club. It's the Club World Cup on Footy Prime.
It is the Club World Cup on Footy
2.5.
Prime. With DAZN. I hear you can stream free on DAZN, right, Craig?
I've
all
also
month.
heard that.
I know, who knew?
Who knew?
Hey,
let's sign up now.
Hey guys, where can I watch the Club World Cup for free?
I hear it streams on DAZN.com. All
You
month
don't
long.
say.
Yeah. It's day 7 recap, everybody. This is Wonger. Around the table is Craig Forrest. Amy Walsh is flown in from a good old Montreal to sit 3 kilometers away from us. And JC is in his apartment downtown with his child, talking a little less forcefully because she is sleeping right now. Anyways, some great matches and some, honestly, I have to be this tournament is picking up steam for me, and I have watching that Bayern Boca match last night and seeing Harry Kane, seeing the just not the energy being, Craig's violin's working, seeing the energy that is going into this tournament, seeing the competitiveness. It felt different last night. Maybe Sharms said, there's matches, and there was one the day before with Botafogo beating PSG. But this one, Bayern and Boca Juniors kind of topped it for me. And I don't know if it was the same for you, Craig.
I think it was. It's interesting that the different leagues are in different situations, right? With the European leagues, this month would be a complete month off. This would be, the rest period for them. So they're a little bit sluggish, I find,
right,
trying to get their legs. South American teams doing very well. They're 11, 12 games into their season, so they're pretty much prime. I would say
prime.
We've seen that in this tournament. I think there's been a little bit difference between the European and South American teams, but certainly that game was for me the marquee game of yesterday, and certainly turned out to be a brilliant fixture.
It was the atmosphere as well, right? At Hard Rock Stadium in Miami, that place was jumping, or rocking, which would be more appropriate for Hard Rock Stadium. So, I mean, the traveling fans, you're seeing this clash of playing styles, you're seeing this clash of cultures, but you're seeing the way that these fans travel. And Forrest, you've talked about that a lot, and we're seeing the poacher poach, right? Harry Kane, there's might be no better number 9 in the game. And he does it by getting Bayern on the board to open up the scoring in that match. And then he sets up Elise for the winner a little bit later. But the one that I want to talk about is coming up because Boca didn't go away. And I mean, it was maybe due to the support and the voice, the full voice that their fans were in. This is it. This is the goal here.
Yeah, this was
so it's Marentiel. So this is his second goal of the tournament. So it's a beautiful ball in behind where he pulls wide and then the ball's slipped inside the defender. Then he still has a ton of work to do, and he just dekes it by the next defender. As it's Stanisic, I think, that's coming in to tackle him. And he just dekes it through. He's coming up here, dekes it by him, doesn't go through him. And then again, he's still got to finish it as the keeper comes out to him. And it's a brilliant, brilliant goal. Like just my Scottish mother-in-law and father-in-law would say, pure, dead, brilliant. That's what that ball or then that goal was. So, but a great match overall. I caught the second half and then I rewatched the highlights. But to your point, Wonger, about the momentum and the steam and the interest that this competition seems to be gathering now. I think a lot of the hate that it was getting early on, the doubt about, what kind of interest would it generate? What kind of quality would we see on the pitch? I think it's delivered so far.
Mm-hmm. That first half, Bayern absolutely dominated possession. Boca couldn't even get close to the ball, and they just didn't capitalize on a few chances to take a bigger lead in halftime. But you're right, they didn't go away. The atmosphere was absolutely just top notch. And you're going to get an experience in football, I think South America and going down to Argentina and Brazil would be a highlight.
Well, it's funny you're throwing out Brazil because Dub shared this morning an athletic report that Brazil Federation is maybe going to bid for this now all of a sudden. And you can tell by the support that the Brazil, as Dubs was saying, the Brazilian fans, I think we've mentioned it before, have really come out in force. And Boca Juniors is one of the teams that has really come out to support their team, the supporters. And Australia is interested, and some African countries are interested. So it's quite, as the naysayers, I think they forgot how popular soccer / football is in the world, right? And some half-filled stadiums or quarter-filled stadiums or eighth-filled stadiums are there right now. But
eighth-filled stadiums.
Yeah, there was one. It was
1/8.
It was 6,000. It was that one in Orlando. Remember at a 12 o'clock start?
Yeah.
6,000 people, they say, out of a 30. I think Orlando's 33,000. So whatever that percentage is, it's probably about 5%, maybe a little less. So sorry, Dubs, with your math. Can you do the math for me, Dubs?
No, I really can't. You could probably count those people. That's how sparsely it was filled.
Yeah, it was. And then for me to see it, that this Boca Juniors Bayern clash, because that's what it was. Once again, the energy put into this game, it felt like, hey, this doesn't happen often. And that is the uniqueness of this tournament that I didn't think I'd get caught up in. DAZN, like whether it's DAZN is showing it and we get to push it with DAZN and promote it, or it's FIFA and Gianni, who always comes off a little bit like the evil mastermind. A little bit
Gianni, yeah.
Yeah, he may be killing it on this tournament right now. I'm just throwing that out. I wasn't crazy about the Juventus being forced to go see the leader of the United States. But at the same time, there's no this tournament seems to have found its footing. Is that a good term?
Yeah, and I think I'll add to that because I listened to the Club World Cup mini pod yesterday that I missed. And Forrest, I thought you made a really good point about somebody who's maybe not ensconced and really well rooted in the soccer world the way that we are. We can have our blinders on and we can think that everybody knows what's up, and it's just not the case, right? You're talking about Stefan Eustachio. Well, he's playing with Porto, but Canada's at the Gold Cup, and this is the Club World Cup, and then this is happening, and then in Europe there's this, and so I think it's our biases as well. I think that the European teams walking into this tournament expecting, as you made a good point for us, they're at the tail end of their season. Everybody's gassed. You've got the South American teams, be it Brazil or Uruguay or Argentina, wherever they're coming from, that they're kind of primed up and they're right in the middle of the season, maybe a little bit more juice. But it's also our biases are on full display about how we expected this to go. But I think the appetite for this tournament, and I'm shuddering because I'm going to give Gianni his flowers and his kudos, that this tournament in an oversaturated football landscape has found its niche and footing, as you said, Wonger, where they're carving out exactly why it matters, because you have teams from South America who are taking it to European teams who are surprised by it, who are moaning about the weather, who are saying, oh, we're not showing up with our full force squads and or full talent or B squads or A squads, whatever it is. The excuses are bountiful. And it's because they're being taken to task by these South American teams and surprised and perhaps humbled. And that makes for an exciting storyline.
Yeah, and that was a great setup for this match, which was Flamengo FC. I don't
Standing
know,
on one leg.
Yeah, eating some fish versus Chelsea, and Chelsea went up with a beauty of a goal from Neto. But I have to say, at the second half of this match, Chelsea looked like there was a toll on them. That they were slower, they were slower paced. Didn't have anything kind of in response for a very encouraged Flamengo side. And
Yeah.
once again, Dubs, like to your point, the South American onslaught,
Yeah.
it's pretty exceptional.
Right. Well, I want to get to this moment here. The Nicholas Jackson, he'd only been on the pitch 4 minutes, and then he gets red carded, and he comes in, and you can tell that he wants to make a difference, but it's just a little bit or a lot bit misguided. But I want to go back to I don't know if we can back up the highlights longer to show Flamengo's 2 goals. They're eerily similar. One's from a set piece, one's from open play. And Forrest, I want you to address the back line and how horrific the tracking and the marking and the positioning is, because both goals are similar. A free header on a back post, back to the near post across the face of goal for an easy, almost casual finish.
Yeah, same as this one here on the set piece.
Yep.
Just not attacking the ball with any will.
And it didn't. I don't know if you guys noticed on the match that the pitch changed colors. So what it was telling me, it was like, like 25 degrees, then all of a sudden it was 35 degrees out there, or it seemed like that because the pitch actually, you can see it change colors a little bit. And so
Were you doing edibles while you were watching?
No, it was, you just could tell. You're like, and that seemed to line up with Chelsea melting. It was, they were the melty tired, the melty tired state club that time. That's what it felt like.
Succumbing to the conditions, maybe.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it reminds me of like Chelsea. They're a bunch of prima donnas compared to a bunch of Brazilian players that are fighting for their careers and looking for a move to places like Chelsea.
Well, we talked about this, about proving something, correct? Your chance to prove something, your chance to be in that spotlight against Europe's best, who we all know, I mean, we back to the biases, even on our show, we love and think that the Premier League is the top league just because of the money, the players that play there. But as squads come together, it's not always about as we know, as Chelsea is one of the, like, how is Chelsea even here? I forget how they qualified for this.
It's the coefficient.
4 years ago.
It's the coefficient over the last 4 years.
4 and 7 coefficients ago.
Where's your top hat? You need your top hat for that.
And my monocle.
No, it's really quite interesting. The other big matches was a 6-love. I'm going to use tennis. A 6-love swamping, of course, by Benfica. Benfica over. Well, they must have been swamped down in their underwear. Swamped by Benfica over Auckland. I mean, the accountants got thrashed again. Down
the forklift drivers.
Yes, so they were down 6-love, but overall right now, aggregate 16-0 right now. They put up.
No, they're getting better.
Yeah.
That's right. They're improving incrementally. But I just wanted to say, so as exciting as Boca's been to watch, and like Morenchiel's been a revelation for me for that team. And it's also like going back to your point, Wonger, about we think it's the best. We have an inherent bias because Jimmy and Forrest were pioneers of sorts as Canadians going over to play in the Premier League. So I think we have a right to be biased and to follow that league and to have allegiances to certain teams and things like that, right? But it's also about what's available and how you watch. So could I have access to South American leagues if I wanted to? Could I watch the Argentinian Premier League? Could I watch the Brazilian league? Like, I don't know. But like finding out about these players that have been revelations like Morenchiel, I'm more inclined to follow him now. So it's the knock-on effect that this tournament will have in terms of who you're paying attention to and who you're following and who you care about. But I want to see Boca more. And so they couldn't see out the result against Benfica. Remember that crazy, chaotic match, 3 red cards that ended up 2-2, a draw. They shared the points. But now, from Boca's perspective, because they sit in third on 1 point, they have to hope that Bayern beat Benfica and simultaneously pummel Auckland City and Nashville. So it's the permutations and but goal difference obviously will be key. Yeah. So Boca will have to run up the score because Benfica put 6 past Auckland City, as you just mentioned.
I'm sure Auckland's looking forward to that.
Yeah, I know.
Well,
great. Goal
love
difference
when
matters.
Yeah, I love when they do have, you have to score 17 goals. You know what I mean? So this is our last game we're going to cover. It is the LAFC versus Tunis FC. And Tunis wins 1-0, but it comes down to a penalty kick at the all of a sudden at the end, and our friend Dennis Buanga, cannot finish a penalty kick. So another, I was looking at the attendance once again, lower on the attendance, but still a great match. And I have to say, right now MLS is getting kind of owned, but I'm happy for MLS that they have Miami kind of waving their flag. And I'm happy Messi is still part of this, because that will increase the interest that we're going to be allowed to see some comparisons. And once again, having Messi right to the end of a tournament is never a bad thing. So we're watching right now Dennis Buanga, right? I always it's hard for me to say.
I say Buanga, but
Buanga. Yeah.
You're fine. Yeah.
And Craig, these are those penalties that you'd like coming at you, right? Hit him in the legs on the side.
Yeah, he goes the right way. He hits it too low. Good height. Good block. Good save.
I guess he's right.
Yeah. LA did okay. They did okay. They probably deserved a draw out of that game.
Yeah, but like aggregate effect, like because they, what did they do? They went down to Chelsea in the first game, right? Where there was some pushback. Buanga again got some opportunities, failed to capitalize. And even though we had the late heroics in that playoff game against Club America to even qualify for the tournament, he's been unable to be their talisman here. So they go out with a whimper and now they're eliminated after 2 matches, sharing that with the woeful Auckland City.
Yeah. And Seattle too from the other day is not going to be able to go forward, I don't think either, right? So
I don't think statistically eliminated yet.
Not statistically eliminated. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
We've got some that's it. I'm not going to close the day yet because there are updates that we wanted to talk about. We heard a little more from Canada Soccer, Jesse Marsch versus Concacaf. Craig, I know you gave us some information yesterday, but there's happenings today, which are, why don't you tell us?
Well, Canada has up to today to put in their side of the story.
Right.
And then the independent disciplinary committee will then look at it, and they don't expect anything until Monday as far as decisions on Jesse Marsch.
So we'll probably hear Monday, but they play tonight, which would be the last day normally for a suspension for Jesse Marsch.
Yeah, he would be serving the last of his 2-match ban from Nations League.
Right. So Monday we might hear, hey, he's done for the entire tournament.
Yes, and did you see, I don't know if we've discussed this on this podcast yet, but it would, with no more official competitions, he would serve if the ban continued or if they come down hard on him, they make an example of him, which I'm fearing the longer that this goes on, it'll go into the World Cup next year.
Oh, temper. Is that what we say?
Yeah, I don't know. And like he was, I don't know if you caught any of the match day -1 presser yesterday. He was a man, you could hear the stress and the edge. He's still confident, and I haven't lost confidence in him as the leader of that team. And obviously with Morrow and Stolle on the touchline, they're in good hands. But I think you could hear it, like see it in his body language, hear it in his voice and some of his answers that it's wearing on him maybe a little bit. That's my take.
Good take. I think you're probably right. I saw one of the clips, and I think and I read one of the transcripts, and the word for me was prickly that came out of that. And it's not a great place to be prickly. If you're prickly and and it's part of your your lifestyle. It's not a great place. So hopefully he can turn the corner. And Daniel Jebison lands somewhere great. Preston North End, our friend, didn't Dikio play in Preston North End a couple of years or a year or loaned out? I forget.
I think he did.
I think he did too.
And so did Liam Miller for our men's national team was there for a little bit after he was at Basel, I think. Basel?
Yes. Basel?
But injured me.
Sorry. Yeah. Craig, what's it like signing with a club and the confidence in the knowing that you're going to be kind of moving forward with a team that wants you, especially just giving you the confidence?
Well, it's a loan deal, right?
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So he's still under the umbrella of Bournemouth. I'm sure he would like to have played and wanted Bournemouth to keep him, but he also wants to play on a regular basis, which is important for next year. And Preston is a really good club. They were fairly ambitious. They didn't have a good season last year. I think they only finished a point above relegation. Struggled up front to score goals, so they need that. And hopefully he'll get plenty of opportunities there, which I absolutely have no doubt that he will.
Right.
Do you think this might start for us, not a cascade, but other players that need to have similar things happening in the way of meaningful minutes? Say like a Tajon Buchanan, who's looked as good as I've seen him. And he was from Inter Milan and then on loan to Villarreal. Do you think he goes out on loan again so that he can get more regular minutes?
Yeah, I do. He'll probably try and force out as much as he possibly can if he's not going to get minutes at Inter, which it doesn't look like he will on a regular basis. Or maybe not. Maybe he shows enough in the last few international games that they want to stick with him and promise him that they'll give him some minutes. Because that could happen too, because he's been lights out good.
He's been so good. You didn't think of Tajon Buchanan in CONCACAF qualifying. And like that to me was like vintage Tajon, right?
Yeah.
Like I don't know if he got a brace against Jamaica, like the round off back tuck, like just to put the exclamation point on it. That's what kind of conjures in my mind when I think about him being dominant. And then now it seems like a return to that form, but then and some, like he's added like a different level, more nuances, more sophistication to his game. Like that goal against the Ukraine off of the touchline and then beat one player, took the other player to the byline, and then the cross for the header for Jonathan David. Like if anybody's watching that, he's got to be talking to a number of clubs, I think.
Yeah. We were at that game. We were on our feet. Like he gets you off your feet. Like he's worth every penny of the admission.
Yeah.
Oh, that's you know what? If I were ever described somehow, that would be he that you can put seats, put tickets in the seats, kind of thing, or seats. What is it?
Asses in the seats.
Yeah, that if you tickets. I was going with it. It was a little blended there. Felt very Trump-like there, but mixing metaphors. But if you were ever described that way, that's as an athlete, as an actor, like a performer, that is something, right? Like to say, hey, you can put bums in the seats is incredible.
It's like Forrest says, and like I feel like maybe Jimmy might say it occasionally, but it strikes me as a Forrest-ism when he just describes a player as being box office. That's what Tajon is.
Right.
Yeah.
Hey, Craig, how are you watching this Club World Cup?
Well, I'm watching it on DAZN because I heard it was free, and it is.
Jeez, you just have to sign up, and then you can watch the Club World Cup free on DAZN?
All day long.
Who doesn't want to stream the Club World Cup free on DAZN?
I stream, you stream, we all stream DAZN.
Yes, this is some promotion. Thank you very much. Everyone, thanks so much for joining us today. It's been a great tournament so far. We're looking forward to the Gold Cup match tonight, Canada versus Curacao. We'll be watching that.
Jimmy on analysis?
Watching you on the analysis?
No, Jimmy on
analysis? That's why I was confused, because I knew today you're also doing something. What are you doing?
Yes, I am on the call with Matt Cullen and then on the panel with Kate McKenna. And actually Claire Hanna will be our sideline reporter. Really excited to cross paths with Claire again. She'll be on site at TD Place. So Ottawa hosts Calgary in the first of a doubleheader today for the Northern Super League. And then week 10 concludes tomorrow with Montreal versus Vancouver. Montreal's made that cross-country trip.
Amazing. And thanks, everyone, for joining us today. We'll be back tomorrow with more Club World Cup coverage. Today, the matches, Dortmund's in action, Inter, Fluminense, and River Plate Monterrey to end the day. So I think that's my go-to match because I'm kind of cheering on this Monterrey Liga MX team for some reason. I think maybe Dubs and her love affair with Sergio.
Vamos.
All right, everyone. Thanks so much. Have a wonderful day. Thanks for listening.
Everybody, join the club. It's the Club World Cup on Footy Prime.